Hi everyone and welcome back. Miss Bertuman here, and today we're going to be exploring patterns when multiplying by 10, 100, and 1000. Let's get started. For today's lesson, you'll need your thousands place value chart. How many do you see? 3 ones. How many groups of 3 ones do you see? There is one group of 3 ones. Suppose I wanted to multiply 3 ones by 10. How would I do that? We could just move each disk over to the tens place when we multiply times 10, and that would equal 3 tens. 3 ones times 10 equals 3 tens. We can also say 3 times 10 equals 30. Suppose I wanted to multiply 3 tens times 10. What would I do? We would do the same thing. When multiplying by 10, just like this, we would move them over one more place into the hundreds, and then we would have 3 hundreds. So let's take a look at this. We started with 3 ones, and then we multiplied times 10. That equals 3 tens or 30. And then we multiplied times 10 again to get 300. Let's write this out as an equation. 3 ones times 10 times 10 equals 3 hundreds. 3 ones times 10 is really 3 times 100, which equals 300. We can show this on the place value chart as well. Let's say I start with 3 ones, and instead of multiplying times 10 and then times 10 again, I can just show that I'm multiplying times 100, and that would equal 3 hundredths. What if I wanted to multiply 3 ones times 1,000? I could show 3 times 1,000 by again starting at 3 ones, multiply by 10 to get 3 tens, then I can multiply times 10 again to get 3 hundreds, and then I can multiply times 10 one more time, and that would equal 3 thousandths. 3 ones times 10 times 10 times 10 equals 3 thousandths. Another way that I could represent this is if I have 3 ones to start with, and then I multiply times 1,000, and I show this with an arrow representing times 1,000. From the ones column to the thousands column. So 3 ones times 10 times 10 times 10 equals 3 thousands, or 3 times 1,000 equals 3,000. Here we have the problem 15 times 10. Here's what I'd like you to do. You're going to pause the video here to do two things. First, draw place value discs to represent the number 15. Then, show how you would multiply 15 times 10 on your place value chart. I'll be here when you get back. How did you do it? Let's talk through what I did here on the board. Here you can see I drew an arrow to represent 110 times 10. I drew another arrow here to show 5 ones times 10. We need to multiply times 10 for each of our units. What is 110 times 10? 100. And what is 5 ones times 10? 5 tens. What is 15 times 10? 150. For our next problem, we have 22 times 100. Just like before, I'd like you to do the following. Please pause the video here, and I'd like you to represent 22 on your place value chart using place value discs. Then I'd like you to represent on your place value chart 22 times 100. I'll be here when you get back. Welcome back. How'd you do it? Here you can see I drew 2 tens and 2 ones. And then I showed times 10, and then I multiplied times 10 again. Another way I drew is like this. Here you can see I drew 2 tens and 2 ones, and I showed times 100 by moving 2 place values to the left. How can we express our solution strategies as multiplication sentences? For this first board, we have 22 times 10 times 10. What is 22 times 10 times 10? That equals 2,200. For the second board, we have 22 times 100. What is 22 times 100? That also equals 2,200. The next problem I'd like us to work together on is 4 times 20. You'll recall that the last problem that we worked through was 22 times 10, and we solved that by thinking of a different way that we can write out the problem, 22 times 10 times 10. Let's think of other ways that we can express 4 times 20. I was thinking that we can express 4 times 20 as 4 times 2 tens. I also thought about 4 times 2 times 10. I also thought of 8 times 10. Out of these 3 different ways that we can express 4 times 20, which is most helpful to you? The one that you choose, it's really going to vary from student to student. I just want you to keep in mind that whenever we're multiplying by multiples of 10, we can always decompose out a factor in order to help us solve. So in this case, I can think of 4 times 2 times 10. And I can express that in my drawing by thinking about two groups of 4, which can be drawn this. Two groups of 4. I then multiply the two groups of 4 times 10. And here we can see we have 8 tenths, which equals 80. So 4 times 20 equals 80. For our next problem together, I'd like us to solve 6 times 400. I'd like you to pause the video here to think about the different ways that we can express 6 times 400. Be sure to write out the different ways on your board, and then we'll compare our expressions when you get back. How did you do? Go ahead and take a moment to compare your expressions with mine. The next thing I'd like you to do is solve 6 times 400 using the expression of your choice. What is the product of 6 times 400? 2,400. Our last problem together is the following: 4 times 500. I'd like you to pause the video here to do two things. First, I'd like you to think of different ways that you can express 4 times 500. Then, I'd like you to solve 4 times 500. I'll be here when you get back. Take a moment now to compare your expressions with mine. And what is the product of 4 times 500? 2,000. Excellent work today. For your assignment today, your must-do problems are here on the screen. Take 10 minutes to complete these problems, and of course, if you have additional